Miguel Street, Chapter 17. How I Left Miguel Street. My mother said, "You're getting too wild in this place. I think it's high time you leave." "And go where? Venezuela?" I said. "No, not Venezuela. Somewhere else. Because the moment you land in Venezuela, they go throw you in jail. I know you and I know Venezuela. No, somewhere else." I said, "All right, you think about it and decide." My mother said, "I go talk to Ganesh Pundit about it. He was a friend of your father. But you must go from here. You getting too wild." I suppose my mother was right. Without really knowing it, I had become a little wild. I was drinking like a fish and doing a lot besides. The drinking started in the customs, where we confiscated liquor on the slightest pretext. At first, the smell of spirits upset me, but I used to say to myself, "You must get over this. Drink it like medicine. Hold your nose and close your eyes." In time, I had become a first-class drinker, and I began suffering from drinker's pride. Then there were the sights of the town Boy and Errol introduced me to. One night, not long after I began working, they took me to a place near Marine Square. We climbed to the first floor and found ourselves in a small crowded room lit by green bulbs. The green light seemed as thick as jelly. There were many women all about the room, just waiting and looking. A big sign said, "Obscene language forbidden." We had a drink at the bar, a thick, sweet drink. Errol asked me, "Which one of the women you like?" I understood immediately, and I felt disgusted. I ran out of the room and went home, a little sick, a little frightened. I said to myself, "You must get over this." Next night I went to the club again. And again, we made wild parties and took rum and women to Maracas Bay for all-night sessions. "You getting too wild," my mother said. I paid her no attention until the time I drank so much in one evening that I remained drunk for 2 whole days afterwards. When I sobered up, I made a vow never to smoke nor drink again. I said to my mother, "It's not really my fault. It's just Trinidad. What else anybody can do here except drink?" About 2 months later, my mother said, "You must come with me next week. We're going to see Ganesh Pundit." Ganesh Pundit had given up mysticism for a long time. He had taken to politics and was doing very nicely. He was a minister of something or the other in the government, and I heard people saying that he was in the running for the MBE. We went to his big house in St. Clair, and we found the great man, not dressed in dhoti or kurta as in the mystic days, but in an expensive-looking suit. He received my mother with a good deal of warmth. He said, "I do what I could do." My mother began to cry. To me, Ganesh said, "What do you want to go abroad to study?" I said, "I don't want to study anything really. I just want to go away. That's all." Ganesh smiled and said, "The government not giving away that sort of scholarship yet. Only ministers could do what you say. No, you have to study something." I said, "I never think about it really. Just let me think a little bit." Ganesh said, "All right, you think a little bit." My mother was crying her thanks to Ganesh. I said, "I know what I want to study. Engineering." I was thinking about my uncle Baku. Ganesh laughed and said, "What do you know about engineering?" I said, "Right now nothing, but I could put my mind to it." My mother said, "Why don't you want to take up law?" I thought of Chittaranjan and his brown suit, and I said, "No, not law." Ganesh said, "It have only one scholarship remaining, for drugs." I said, "But I don't want to be a druggist. I don't want to put on a white jacket and sell lipstick to woman." Ganesh smiled. My mother said, You mustn't mind the boy, Pundit. He will study drugs. And to me, you could study anything if you put your mind to it. Ganesh said, think. I mean going to London. It means seeing snow and seeing the Thames and seeing the big parliament. I said, alright, I go study drugs. My mother said, I don't know what I could do to thank you, Pundit. And crying, she counted out $200 and gave it to Ganesh. She said, I know it ain't much, Pundit, but it's all I have. It's a long time I did saving it up. Ganesh took the money sadly and he said, you mustn't worry. Let that worry you. You must give only what you can afford. My mother kept on crying, and in the end even Ganesh broke down. When my mother saw this, she dried her tears and said, if you only know, Pundit, how worried I is. I have to find so much money for so much things these days, and I don't really know how I going to make out. Ganesh now stopped crying. My mother began to cry afresh. This went on for a bit until Ganesh gave back $100 to my mother. He was sobbing and shaking, and he said, take this and buy some good clothes for the boy. I said, Pundit, you is a good man. This affected him strongly. He said, is when you come back from England with all sort of certificate and paper, a big man and a big druggist, is then I go come round and ask you for what you owe me. I told Hat I was going away. He said, what for, labouring? I said, the government give me a scholarship to study drugs. He said, is you who wangle that? I said, not me, my mother. Edders said, is a good thing. A druggist fellow I know picking up rubbish for him for years now. This fellow rich like anything. Man, the man just rolling in money. The news got to Elias and he took it badly. He came to the gate one evening and shouted, bribe, bribe, is all you could do, bribe. My mother shouted back, the only people who does complain about bribe is those who too damn poor to have anything to bribe with. In about a month, everything was fixed for my departure. The Trinidad government wrote to the British consul in New York about me. The British consul got to know about me. The Americans gave me a visa after making me swear that I wouldn't overthrow their government by armed force. The night before I left, my mother gave a little party. It was something like a wake. People came in looking sad and telling me how much they were going to miss me. And then they forgot about me and attended to the serious business of eating and drinking. Laura kissed me on the cheek and gave me a medallion of St. Christopher. She asked me to wear it around my neck. I promised that I would, and I put the medallion in my pocket. I don't know what happened to it. Mrs. Baku gave me a 6-penny piece which she said she had specially consecrated. It didn't look different from other 6-penny pieces, and I suppose I spent it. Titus Hoyt forgave me everything and brought me volume 2 of the Everyman edition of Tennyson. Edders gave me a wallet which he swore was practically new. Boy and Errol gave me nothing. Hat gave me a carton of cigarettes. He said, I know you say you ain't smoking again, but take this, just in case you change your mind. The result was that I began smoking again. Uncle Baku spent the night fixing the van which was to take me to the airport next morning. From time to time, I ran out and begged him to take it easy. He said he thought the carburetor was playing the fool. Next morning, Baku got up early and was at it again. We had planned to leave at 8, but at 10 to, Baku was still tinkering. My mother was in a panic and Mrs. Baku was growing impatient. Baku was underneath the car, whistling a couplet from the Ramayana. He came out, laughed, and said, You're getting frightened? Presently, we were all ready. Baku had done little damage to the engine and it still worked. My bags were taken to the van, and I was ready to leave the house for the last time. My mother said, "Wait!" She placed a brass jar of milk in the middle of the gateway. I cannot understand even now how it happened. The gateway was wide, big enough for a car, and the jar, about 4 inches wide, was in the middle. I thought I was walking at the edge of the gateway, far away from the jar, and yet I kicked the jar over. My mother's face fell. I said, "It's a bad sign." She didn't answer. Baku was blowing the horn. We got into the van and Baku drove away, down Miguel Street and up Wrightstone Road to South Quay. I didn't look out of the windows. My mother was crying. She said, "I know I'm not going to ever see you in Miguel Street again." I said, "Why? Because I knocked the milk down?" She didn't reply, still crying for the spilt milk. Only when we had left Port of Spain and the suburbs, I looked outside. It was a clear, hot day. Men and women were working in rice fields. Some children were bathing under a standpipe at the side of the road. We got to Piarco in good time, and at this stage I began wishing I had never got the scholarship. The airport lounge frightened me. Fat Americans were drinking strange drinks at the bar. American women, wearing haughty sunglasses, raised their voices whenever they spoke. They all looked too rich, too comfortable. Then the news came, in Spanish and in English. Flight 206 had been delayed for 6 hours. I said to my mother, "Let me go back to Port of Spain." I had to be with those people in the lounge soon anyway, and I wanted to put off the moment. And back in Miguel Street, the first person I saw was Hat. He was strolling flat-footedly back from the cafe with a paper under his arm. I waved and shouted at him. All he said was, "I thought you was in the year by this time." I was disappointed, not only by Hat's cool reception, disappointed because although I had been away, destined to be gone for good, everything was just going on as before, with nothing to indicate my absence. I looked at the overturned brass jar in the gateway, and I said to my mother, "So, this mean I was never going to come back here, eh?" She laughed and looked happy. So I had my last lunch at home with my mother and Uncle Baku and his wife. Then back along the hot road to Piarco where the plane was waiting. I recognized one of the customs officers and he didn't check my baggage. The announcement came, a cold, casual thing. I embraced my mother. I said to Baku, "Uncle Bak, I didn't want to tell you before, but I think I hear you tap it knocking." His eyes shone. I left them all and walked briskly towards the aeroplane, not looking back, looking only at my shadow before me, a dancing dwarf on the tarmac. End of Miguel Street.